For over 7 or 8 plus years now, Netflix has this down to a science where they have these major studios make and produce these movies that are packaged in many different genres: comedy, horror, science fiction, and action. And when it comes to Netflix, they got a ton of action to choose from, right? Studio produces it, Netflix acquires it, and we have a Netflix original. And when it comes to those action movies, because there are a lot to pick from, every now and then, there's some good ones to watch. I think about the Extraction franchise, starring Chris Hemsworth, which I have a good time with. I think of one of my personal favorites, The Night Comes for Us, or The Gray Man I enjoyed, or even the Old Guard. There are a lot, but there are every now and then good ones to watch and enjoy. But then there are the not so good ones. I'm thinking about Bright or Thunder Force or Michael Bay's Six Underground, or my personal favorite, The Last Days of American Crime. So the question is, we got a brand new Netflix thriller starring Gal Gadot by the name of Heart of Stone. Is it one of those good ones that I recommend? Or is it one of those bad ones that I never want to see or talk about ever again? Well, let's talk about it. What is going on, movie fans, and welcome back to my channel. Elliot here with a brand new review, and today we're breaking down the new action thriller starring Gal Gadot by the name of Heart of Stone, which will be streaming on Netflix this weekend. So the question is it worth checking out? We'll be discussing that and much more in today's spoiler-free review, but first I want to talk to y'all in the comments. Let me know if you even heard of this movie, and more importantly, once you've seen it, what did you think from the action, the direction, the performances? Did you enjoy it? Did you not enjoy it? Let's talk about that in the comments. And so we're talking about these action movies on Netflix. What are some of your favorite? Let me know in the comments below. So let's just get into this thing, man. Starting off with the positives. And this is a positive. It's going to start off a little negative, but it is going to ultimately become a positive. I'm going to be honest with you all. First 45, 50 minutes or so of this film, I was just looking at this like, here we go again. Another stereotypical Netflix action movie that's just so repetitive. You've seen it before. It is just the same song and dance. It's just generic. It is so paint by numbers. And you're just like, and look, I take a lot of pride in myself with watching movies, having my full attention. Even if I'm not enjoying it, I always like to pride myself. I can sit down and watch a movie and not be distracted in the theaters. When it comes to these home movies, right, you got distractions. You got the beautiful dog that's staring at me over there. You got food, you got snacks, you got emails, you got Twitter or X, and you got your cell phone that you can be distracted with. And those 45 to 50 minutes, man, I was emailing, Xing, whatever you want to call it, man. I was not locked in, and I was multitasking. I was still paying attention to what was going on, but it was just like, I've seen this before. It's so predictable. It is so boring and just so stereotypical. But then, this is when the good comes in. After about the 55-hour mark, something happens, right? I'm not saying this is a groundbreaking masterpiece of a movie, but something happens at about an hour into this movie. It doesn't go completely 180, but it has a shift in the tone, in the story. There's a twist that I didn't anticipate happening because, again, the first 40 minutes was just like, I already know what's going to happen at the end of this film, but there's something that happens. And that second half on to the third act, there's some goodness in this film, y'all. I want to talk about a little bit. Let's talk about these performances, right? You got Gal Gadot, which name's been in the headlines recently as I'm recording this. She's back as Wonder Woman, which I love her as Wonder Woman. I love Linda Carter, but Gal Gadot's my Wonder Woman. No disrespect to those that love her. Then she's not Wonder Woman. Another story for another day. But I like Gal Gadot. I've been following her career, not just the Fast and Furious or the DC time with Wonder Woman, but I've seen the good and the bad and all the stuff in between. And I like her as an actress, and I like her in this role for the most part. She goes by the name of Rachel Stone, and she's your stereotypical action hero. She's the agent that has alternative motives throughout these missions, but she's ultimately a good person, right? And she's a badass. She can figure things out, and she could take on 6 against 1. She is that legit elite person you want on your side if you're walking down a dark alley. So she is doing all that. She's very capable. Again, if you've seen Wonder Woman, you know she can handle action. So I knew the action was going to be there. But then, like I mentioned, I love you, Gal, but the performances, you know, every now and then in some of those not so good movies sometimes boils down to her performance. But I like the arc that we see Rachel go on. I like the emotional depths that we see Gal kind of playing with in this film. And again, it's not groundbreaking, but there are moments in the film where you're like, I really believed you in that moment. And again, I'm not talking about the action, I'm talking about the more dramatic, slowed down scenes. So Gal does her thing. Jamie Dornan, he's someone I first saw in the 50 Shades movies, and I just thought that was just him for the rest of his career. But no, he's a really great actor. You know, Belfast, and there's a variety of different films I've seen him in where he's like, no, he can act. And he has a lot of different layers to him in this film that I really appreciated. And also I think about Alia Bhatt, who I'm not too familiar with her work that she does internationally, but I have seen her in one of my favorite films last year in RRR. And when I saw her, I'm like, yo, she is awesome. And again, I know she has a ton of accomplishments with the stuff that she does internationally, which I do plan to watch one of these days and catch up on the filmography. But she's in this film as a character that is you can trust, back and forth, very interesting kind of things going on with her. So I want to say, again, we'll talk about in the second half of this review. There's a lot of things you've seen before. There's a lot of characteristics that you've seen in actors playing these type of roles that are very paint by numbers. But I can see the nuance. I can see kind of the character moments and the actors trying to give you a little bit something new and fresh, unique within their roles. So I do enjoy the performances. And this is an action thriller. The action is pretty solid. This is coming from the same studio that makes a lot of the Mission Impossible films, and you can definitely see the shades of Mission Impossible stunts. They're not as crisp, not as intricate, not as detailed as the Mission Impossible films, but you can see they were definitely inspired. Like there's one scene that's like a halo jump that looks very much like Fallout, right? But I thought the action was pretty well choreographed. You can see who's who, what's what, and see all the layouts of the hand-to-hand combat, who's shooting at who, and stuff like that. So it's fluid. It's passable, right? It's not groundbreaking action. It's not Mission Impossible, John Wick 4, extraction action, but it's some solid action that kept me entertained. Some in the first half, but mostly in that second and third act that I enjoyed. So there it is. Those are the positives for me, right? And it's mostly in that second half, but then let's talk about my criticisms and to dive a little bit deeper in that first half of this film. I pretty much said it earlier, but very paint by numbers, very stereotypical. I mean, again, how many MacGuffins is it where you have this device that goes by the name of Heart, and the Heart is controlled by this particular agency that Gal Gadot works for, and if it gets in the wrong hands, it can take over the banking system, it can control atomic bombs. It's, you know, Fast and Furious, the God Eye, most recently Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, the entity. It's like AI taking over. Seen it, done it. I'm so tired of it. If I see another damn action movie with a MacGuffin that you just plug in a device and it can control the world, it's just like, oh my goodness, man, so paint by numbers. But that's the plot, and it's very generic throughout this film. There's really no saving grace about the plot because it is very repetitive and you know exactly what's going to happen. So that's a bad part of this film, and it's mostly in that first half where they just lean so heavily in things you've seen before. But there are some moments within the action that they really rely on visual effects and CGI to really kind of make the stunts feel like you've never seen them before, but they just don't look good. You just see an actor hanging on wires with a backdrop of a green screen. That is very noticeable throughout this film, especially that first action scene when she's going down the snow. That stuff is very noticeable. Wrapping up my criticism, because I can go on and on about nitpicking the film. Again, there's a lot of stuff you've seen before, but there's this imbalance of, we're going to get really serious. Like, no, there's people that are dying. There's characters that you thought were going to be making it to the end that don't. And it gets to those kind of darker moments. But then there's like this weird balance of like cheesy 90s comedy that just doesn't play well. Like they try to bring in these actors that you might have seen in comedic roles that just don't work in this film. So there's a really imbalancing going on with the tone, and more particularly the comedy and the action and the seriousness. So those are my criticisms. Before I give you all my score, and if it's worth checking out on Netflix, if you stuck around to the point of this video, I really appreciate you. If you're having a good time, because I certainly am, consider hitting the like button, sharing today's review, and also leaving your thoughts in the comments, and also consider subscribing to the channel. With all that being said, overall, I'm not going to lie to you, The Heart of Stone, you've seen it before, and there's not much going on with the narrative and the story, but it's within the action scenes that you might appreciate some of the stunt work being had. The performances, again, not groundbreaking, but you can appreciate the kind of nuance that the actors are trying to bring to their character. And I will say the second half into the third act of this film, I found this to be engaging, With that being said, though, with 45 minutes to an hour of this film being mostly repetitive, I'm going to give this film a 2.5 out of 5. Should you watch it? Well, you know, there's a lot of great stuff out there outside of the home watching experience. You know, obviously Barbenheimer, Ninja Turtles, Talk to Me. There's a lot of good stuff you can see in theaters. At home, there's not too many new stuff. So hey, if you're bored, you like Gal Gadot, you like some action you've probably seen 1,000 times, then this might be for you. But ultimately, I would probably say you're not missing anything if you don't watch it. So again, 2.5 out of 5 for me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments once you've seen it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And also, again, share your favorite Netflix original action film in the comments below. You all are great. You're awesome. Before we leave this video, consider hitting the like, share, commenting, subscribing to the channel. Thank you again for watching today's video, and I'll catch you all on the next breakdown.